Hey, folks, this is Pastor Mashburn here, Carolina Conservatives preacher with a punch. You'll notice I'm by myself. We need to pray for Dr. Nathan Street. He's been recuperating from sickness, and he's down with another bug. Just spoke with him. He's doing okay, but he needs some time to recuperate, and just pray for him. Pray for him right now. 'Tis the season for bugs to go around. Honestly, we had not planned to drop any podcast this week. Everything has just been going fast and moving fast in December. And as a pastor, the calendar can get very frenzy when you're dabbling in the political world. It kind of calms down, but then everybody wants to plan for, the coming year. And we've got plans, and we're going to be making announcements. And me and two friends of mine, and I'll bring Dr. Street in when it's time, when he's doing much better. But I'm just trying to talk a little bit and bring you up to speed while we have some more folks popping on here on Facebook and on YouTube and all the mediums here. Normally, we produce an event, and then we add some dialogue to it, we add some graphics to it, and all that stuff. But listen, this is so important. I wanted to bring it to you. We had not planned on dropping a podcast this week. It's just we just wanted some time. We want to take some time with our families. Want to take some time and regroup. But I'll tell you, it just won't let things going on in the world. It just will not let us do that. The work never stops when you are in spiritual battle. And why I'm here is because we have something very important to talk about, and that's what's going on in the state of Texas. About a month or so ago, we had did an interview with former Congressman Mark Walker, and I just spoke with him today. He and I are good friends. Mark Robinson and I are good friends. And I'm not saying that to say pat me on the back. It's just these guys, they need prayer. They need friends just like everybody else. They need people in their lives that they're not seeking to get any gain from them. They just want to pray for them. They just want to love them. They're human beings. And we best not put them on a pedestal. And Mark, both Marks are blessed. Mark Robinson is a powerful speaker, but even him, do not put him on a pedestal, folks. Let me tell you, the louder he is, the bigger target that he is from Satan. And we are in spiritual warfare. We are not in a political system here. The political system and the mode in which we work is the system that we have to deal with the leadership in our country, in our state, in our local affairs. So that's just part of it. But this is spiritual battle. What I'm bringing to you right now, according to the Texas Scorecard, which is a periodical in Texas, the Texas Supreme Court is set to hear about the James Younger case. Now, you probably haven't heard anything about the James Younger case because the mainstream media, they are not covering it. But going back to my thought just a moment ago, we did an interview with former Congressman Mark Walker in which we highlighted the very recently passed, at that time, law in California that basically gave the right to anyone in the country to kidnap a child, bring him to California. It'd be a sanctuary state. The state would pay for transitional surgery from whatever that biological sex was to the desired sex, they say, of the child, but the child at that time they don't have the cognitive understanding of what they want. Yeah, they may want to play with dolls, so what? Every girl has a tomboy effect at times, but the law states that anyone who brings a child there cannot be charged, or at least will not be pursued by the state on kidnapping charges. The state will serve as a sanctuary state for transgender, transitional surgery. That's garbage. It's just, you want to know what I think about it? It's from the pits of hell. It's filth. And you're not going to hear many political candidates out on the spectrum in the next year and a half, heading into March of 2024 for primaries. You're not going to hear many of them say it's filth. I'm not talking about the filth of transgenderism, even though that's filth. I'm talking about the weird aspect that we're buying into this crap of whatever you think in your mind you can be. No, that's just silly. I mean, we used to put mental patients in hospitals and treat them. Now we literally put them up on pedestals. And if you're in this presidential administration, you put them in leadership. And it's just completely, it's complete idiocy. There's a reason why you haven't heard about James Younger. Because what's going on here is his non-biological mother, now this would be an adoptive mother, assumingly, is desiring to transition this young boy against the father's will to a girl, and understanding the way I do, way I am, it's through chemical castration. Now this is not reversible. This is irreversible. And the case here, according to the Texas record, the Texas scorecard, Jeff Younger is the father here of this 9 years old. Let me say this again. 9 years old. 9 years old. At 9 years old, I don't know what I was doing. My parents and my wife and everybody that knows me says, you're the most unconventional child we've ever heard of. I was different. I was an old soul. But nevertheless, at 9 years old, what in the world were you doing at 9 years old? If you're a girl, you were probably playing Barbies, playing whatever. Back when I was growing up, you were playing with pine cones. At church, we would have a pine cone fight at 9 years old. At 9 years old, James Younger, his ex-stepmother, his father's ex-wife, is seeking to put James on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones that will chemically castrate him. Now, earlier this year, a judge in the 301st Family District Court of Dallas County awarded this woman full custody of James and gave her permission to move with the child anywhere else in the state. Now, I don't know how an adoptive mother, a non-biological mother, gains custody. But Younger was also told he must consent to any gender modification procedures performed on James. And that ruling came as a new California law is set to go into effect on January 1 that would shield parents who seek gender mutilation procedures in the state. It would shield them from prosecution in other states that have outlawed them. This is going to be a huge issue. This is going to the Supreme Court of the United States, I can guarantee you, and God help them to rule on the side of morals and common sense and decency. And decency. Now, while the Texas House has refused to pass legislation the last session to explicitly outlaw child gender mutilation, an opinion was given by the Attorney General, Ken Paxton. We know Ken Paxton. He is, as far as we know, he's pretty straight-laced. And he states that it is child abuse. It is child abuse, meaning children could be subject to removal from their homes. So far, however, there are no recorded cases of this happening. Now, I mean, we're going to put this up on the or in the comment section or whatever, so you'll have access to this. I want you to get real acquainted with this, because you're going to see and hear more of this. This California law is going to have a ripple effect, and it just started in Texas. This is going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess for the moral system of this country. It's going to be a mess for all of us folks. It is going to break our hearts when we see children that are mutilated with irreversible, irresponsible, and uncalled for surgeries to alter what they are born and how they're born. We didn't used to have this garbage. Where did it come from? It is from the pits of hell. And some of you pastors, listen, I know I'm hard on you pastors, but I want to speak to you right now. I'm heading into 30 years of church ministry. Brother, some of us are still arguing about Bible translations when our country, our churches, our children are going to hell in a handbasket. We have got to get the right priorities here. We've got to preach the word. I've traveled as far as this state. I've traveled the country over the course of ministry. I can tell you, what I have seen, there is a lapse of the preaching of the gospel. We have gotten sidetracked. We have got to get back into the game, so to speak, of preaching the word. Preach the word. Preach it expositionally. Don't get up there and preach it topically all the time. There are times when we have to do that. There are times when it's called for, but the Bible must be preached expositionally and exegetically. Exegetical preaching is dead, seems like. And the only way you can preach it expositionally, and of course, in a mode of exegesis, you have to study the Word. Study the Word. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. As my friend Ken Graves says in Maine, brethren, it's time to take the sword, the Word of God, and it's time to use it. Preachers, we must use it. Now, I live in North Carolina. I thank God that our podcast, our videos go all over. And the 2 podcasts that we run, we're downloaded in 42 or 45 states, and we're now downloaded into 39 countries. I want to be right. We'd say 40, it rounds to that, but 39 in reality. So, thank God we're getting out the message, but we have got to do better. We have got to do more. We have got to do everything we can to be that salt and that light in this nation. Our children deserve it. Our children demand it. We've got to stand up for them. And we've got to stand up. I live in North Carolina, I said. We've got to stand up for our children here. In a few days, a few weeks, we're going to be making some announcements about where we're going in our future as far as how we're going to be seeking to be effective. And it's not going to affect any relationship that I currently have with Carolina conservatives or Asbury Baptist Church. I'm still going to be a pastor. But we've got to do more. And we've got to stand on truth. Truth is the only thing that reveals untruth, reveals a lie. We have to do that. We have no choice. We have to stand. Many of you who have heard me speak in person, you've heard me say, politics as usual must die. Friends, politics as usual must die. We're in a battle for the soul, the fabric of the family. And we have got to band together as believers. And if you're not a believer, I encourage you to become one. Come to Jesus Christ. He will save you. He'll forgive you of your sin. But regardless, if you're not a believer, I want to say, you're more than welcome to join the family, but I want to say, we're all citizens. And we all stand on the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of North Carolina. And I call on our General Assembly in North Carolina. Your job has just gotten harder, because whereas you were used to making laws that were reactive, you saw something, it needed to be changed, it needed to be prevented, or it needed to go ahead and have more liberty to do that. That's reactionary law. Now we're in a predicament that we have to be proactive in our lawmaking. And so I'm praying for you. Sometimes I call you out. Sometimes it's warranted. I'll continue to do that because you are the servants of the people. And don't forget who you work for. You work for us. But I want you to do well. And I want you to do what's right. And I want you to be influenced by what's good and right and upstanding morally. You do what's necessary to protect our children. I've just shared my heart. Thank you for listening. I trust you'll have a great week in the Lord. But I also pray that 2023 will be great in your life and in your family's life. And just pray as to what you can do as a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. And then pray what you can do as a citizen of whatever state you're in, and what you can do as a citizen of the United States of America. God bless you.